Welcome, everybody, to the first episode of Council of the North, a podcast all about the Middle-earth strategy battle game made by Games Workshop. It's just three friends that are all from Ontario, Canada, that have been playing Middle-earth for, well, quite a few years, actually. We kind of had a weekly paint night that we all have been connecting through Discord for a couple years now, and we're always talking MESBG, so we figure there's some stuff going with the league. We're trying to get a little more into it. We're trying to find ways to build it up and provide some content or get people out. So we figured why not just start hitting the record button on our weekly paint nights. And yeah, it's our main goal is just we're trying to support the community a little bit, especially the local league in Ontario, the OSBGL. We want to kind of build up some hype for some of the events that are coming up, share some of our stories from the table. We're hopefully going to help people feel kind of more excited and connected and get the motivation going to get painting or get out to a tournament. Whether it's competitive or narrative or you just want to paint some models, we're glad you're here with us. The first episode that we got coming out now is it's a little all over the place. We hit a lot of different topics in this one. We're kind of looking at where our league's at right now, specifically in Ontario. Looking at some trends for tournament turnout, what's being played, kind of some fun stuff there, and looking into the future. We're excited. We got some plans for some deeper dives into some topics, but also we're looking to try to do some guest interviews about whether it's someone who came out on top of a tournament or a TO that has a fun event planned, or maybe someone from a different community that's outside the OSBGL, kind of compare and contrast differences, what they see works for growing the community, because at the end of the day, we want to grow the community, whether it's tournaments or whether it's just people on the Facebook page talking to each other. It'll be nice to kind of pump the numbers up and hopefully give people some content to listen to. That's especially for, I know, the Canadians a little closer to home. But before that's all looking into the future. Right now we have our first episode, so please give it a listen and we hope you enjoy. All right, tonight with me I got Andrew.
Greetings.
And Zach.
Hello.
I guess should we do last names? I'm not going to do last names, whatever. Andrew, quickly give us a little intro. How'd you get started in the hobby? What are you into? What's going on?
What am I into? I'm into Middle-earth SPG, believe it or not. I got started in the hobby. I guess, I'm in my young 30s, so Lord of the Rings came out in theaters, and that was awesome. And then my neighbors had this weird board game where you played with miniatures, and they were all Lord of the Rings. And I was like, this is amazing. And I went over there and I was playing a bunch, and then I begged my mom to take me to the mall, and I got the Fellowship of the Ring starter set. And those are my first my first models, the Moria Goblins and then the Last Alliance. That's how I got started. I've been going to OSBGL events for over 10 years, I guess now. Long time. And I would say,
old.
don't remind me. I would say that I'm competitive, but I'm not a win at all costs player. I like to do well. I don't tend to bring fun lists. I try to win.
We'll be honest for each other. You're a competitive win at all costs kind of guy. If you don't win, you're pretty pissed off at the end of a round.
Pretty grumpy.
And
This is
blaming
fake
dice.
news. This is fake news. I'd never blame my dice.
I guarantee we'll never get through a tournament recap without you blaming dice. But anyway, continue.
This is fake news. The best part of the game is getting to push around fully painted models and getting to watch your opponents push around their beautifully fully painted models and playing toy soldiers. That's the best part.
Say you're
Not
very
as fun
passionate
with,
about that.
Hey, sorry.
Would you say you're very passionate about that?
I'm passionate about all aspects of this hobby. Yes, including painting miniatures. I think it's a big part of it. And last we have here something about you. Um, Usually this is my fun fact that I paint miniatures and play a war game. That's pretty unique. Otherwise, I like music. I like play guitar, sing, bit of recording. I go to lots of shows.
What do you do
Yeah,
for work? What's
what do I do for work?
yeah.
I work in digital marketing. So I work at a big agency, and I have some clients, and I tell them what to change with their website to make it show up higher on Google.
Yeah. I always find it interesting how many like different jobs people have, but we all play the same game. That's why I ask.
That's true. Good question.
Anyway, Zach, I'm gonna fact check your answer because I know how you got into this game. How did you get into this game?
Well, I got in this game probably around the age of 10, as Will knows. He was the one that got me into the game. I would like to take credit that I was the one that got him into Lord of the Rings in the first place as well. I
That's
mean,
fair.
I was just a kid. It came out, and it was probably the coolest thing you'd ever seen on the TV. And so I got him into it, and he obviously agreed. And then one day, I think it was the Vaughn Mall. We were down there, and you ended up getting the starter set, the Moria Goblin one,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We
and you just started pushing these models around, painted absolutely horribly, and you didn't know any of the rules.
all right. That's an accurate analysis. Yeah.
And from then on, probably collected a couple different armies through the next few years, continuing just trying to figure out what the actual game even was. But it was just fun playing with Lord of the Rings miniatures. And then at one point, we ended up starting to go to OSBGL events.
Yeah.
First one was in Guelph. And I remember I won my first game, and I thought, man, this is so much fun. And then proceeded to get absolutely destroyed the rest of the day. And it was still a lot of fun, even losing. I would consider myself a mixture, more so than Andrew, of a fun and competitive player. I like to consider myself a 500 player. I'm very big in going 2-2, or 2-1, or 1-2, depending on the day.
That's true.
Very consistent. I'm very consistent with that sort of a record.
Consistently average.
Consistently average. Yeah. Also like my painting. Just consistently average.
Your painting's
Um,
improving a lot. Don't be hard on
oh,
yourself.
I appreciate that. I'll take it from you. You do a pretty good job yourself.
Oh, thank you.
Um, Best part of the game. I I love going to tournaments. I love meeting new people, having a good time. Obviously, rolling dice is a lot of fun. Um, I am competitive at heart. I like to win. I like to try to win, but I do like tournament atmosphere. Multi-day events are amazing. Going out for a weekend, getting a place with your friends to stay the night, having a couple drinks. Uh, that's what's fun for me when it comes to the hobby. Just getting out there and meeting other people. And something about me. It's always such a tough question when people want that answered.
This is like the one unique thing each of us have, and it's now you have to come up with something else about yourself, and it's this stuff.
Yeah, again, I like to read. Reading Lord of the Rings, again, is a great part of your childhood. Finding this world that Tolkien created. Um, any fantasy book I get sucked up into. And if I was to say one fun fact, Winston Churchill is a pretty cool historical figure.
Fair
Debatable.
enough. God, that's not what we're here to talk about. If we don't stop now, we're gonna go. So that's Andrew and Zach. My name is Will, and yeah, Zach and I have known each other since grade 2, and we've been
Yeah,
playing since we were 9 or 10. I remember I think it was the Eaton Center in Toronto. I was walking
was it?
through, and it was they used to have the glass displays in the GWs with like the painted Mumax and everything in there like that. And then yeah,
McKill
pick it. Yeah,
is the
whatever.
proper plural.
And then, Minds of Moria started it for us. And then years of playing just on our own. I think we went 2015 after the first year of university. We went to our first OSBGL event. We went pretty
Jesus.
hard at it for a couple of years. We met Andrew at Articon in what was it, 18?
2018. 2018.
Yeah.
And then myself, I think I disappeared after 2019 for a few years. We all just got, I don't know, can we say we all just got back into the hobby about a year ago, going to tournaments and stuff?
Seriously, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've always been painting and stuff along the way through COVID and all that, but
Yeah.
kind of slowed down for us. And then I agree with Zach. The best part is just getting out to tournaments. I unfortunately can't turn the switch off. I'm pretty competitive. Um, I I I hate losing more than I like winning. Let's put it that way. It just sucks. But it's one of those things where even the game's just so good. I played the 40K, I played the MCP and stuff like that, but I always come back to Lord of the Rings because it's just better.
It's the best. It's arguably the best tabletop gaming system, and definitely GW's best tabletop gaming system.
Yeah, yeah, I 100% agree with that. And then myself, I got three kids, four and under, and I work construction. I mean, we got I don't know, I forget what your title is, Andrew, but we have a tech guy, we have a train guy, and we got a construction guy. Kind of diverse.
Sorry, yeah, pretty diverse.
Anyway, we're gonna get into our first section. Kind of talking through any hobby stuff, any tournament stuff we've been going on about. Last week, this is actually perfect timing. Last week, Andrew went to a tournament in Hamilton at Tista Minis, right?
That's right.
600 points, 4 games.
That's right.
Uh, I guess really, let's talk about your tournament a little bit. A quick overview of each of your games and kind of where'd you land? Where'd you place? Could you have done stuff better? Could you have done stuff worse? I guess.
Yeah, always. I have this is the wrong. Oh no, this is the right one. I have the Longshanks open here to remind myself, and they put games backwards. Anyway, so here we are, Tista Minis, great hobby shop in Hamilton. Nice venue for playing games. I think they have capacity for like 16, so 8 tables. It's nice in there. One of the guys there, Tim Cole, used to work at GW. Really, really nice guy. We got to cut. We got to pause. Okay, we're cutting. We have to cut here because there's a knock on my door. My dad is.
Okay, never mind. You're going.
We're going. All right, cut here. It was 4 games, 600 points, like we said. First game. I guess I should talk about my army, huh? I've been
Yeah,
rocking Army of Edoras because it's currently unplayable unless you, well, with Helm it's unplayable because Helm hasn't been available for over a year, right? More than a year.
Yeah, long time.
Long time, and I had Helm since a long time ago, old edition. So I've been playing that, and I've been really enjoying playing Helm. Basically, the list I've been running at all these 700 point events, 500 points, is Helm and Haleth, 5 Royal Guard, and then Riders of Rohan. And I've started sprinkling in some bow infantry until I hit the bow limit, basically. And that's been my take on it. I know some people play it more infantry heavy, but I've been playing it more cavalry heavy. My first game was against 3 trolls on retrieval. That was an interesting one. He kind of turtled at his objective on his side of the board, and I was just going in and sending Royal Guard and just charging the trolls, and eventually I managed to sneak in. I managed to sneak in a Rider Rohan that picked up the objective and ran out on the same turn. And he ran off the board, and no one could catch him. From that point, he proceeded to barge his way all the way to my objective and didn't kill any of my models, so the game wouldn't end, which was incredibly frustrating. He won a lot of fights in a row, but eventually I managed to table him, just because I killed one troll and then eventually the other ones fell. You can only win so many fights in a row. That was the first game, 20-1. He did 1 wound on Helm. Helm got in there, characteristically failed to strike up, got wounded. The next game was Contest of Champions, which I think is the least well-written scenario in the book. I think it's truly terrible and should be removed. It's
Really?
actually, yes, it's actually the first scenario ever played in an OSBGL event going back 2 editions. I was sort of a tangent here, but I was playing Durbers and Goblins against Berdur, and Berdur rended Durbers on the very first turn, and that was it. The game ended.
Yeah, but now you get to elect a champion from your army. It's not always going to be Dirtbirds. It's going to be your
Yeah,
Cave
but
Drake or whatever.
some armies don't really have a great choice for a champion. Like it just doesn't matter who you put
And that's that
forward.
army's fault.
No, this is a bad scenario. I think it's truly a
I
bad
don't know.
scenario. Anyway, Constant Champions against Mr. Steve Stokes, really nice guy, top of the league right now.
Yeah.
He picked his leader. He was playing Army of Erebor, I believe. He had Gimli and Gloin. He picked Gimli. I picked Helm. He won priority roll off. He won heroic move roll off, and he outstruck me. And that was the end of that. With Gloin, he rolled 3 wounds, 665 on Helm right away. And then Gimli finished the job, which was pretty brutal. So Helm died right away, and that was basically the end of the game. He like very quickly.
Was that turn 1? He just blew Helm up turn 1?
Yeah, that was turn 1. If I won that and charged Gimli and got to roll the wound, Gimli would have died either way. I don't think I would be able to mop him up as quickly as he did to me, but
Yeah.
I would have won that game. So that was like very much a coin toss. And we were talking afterwards. I said, "Oh, I guess I just have to wrap Helm, or like wrap my champion." But that seems so counter the objective. I just
Well,
don't
you
like
just
the scenario.
you just have to put a couple body blockers in front. So he can't charge you, but you can, you know what I mean? Like if you have 4 riders out front, then he can't with 5 inches get around to Helm, but you can get around with 10 into his guys, right?
Yeah, but then that kind of defeats the purpose of the scenario, which is
The
your
idea is to
champions
slam
fighting.
yourselves into each other.
Yeah.
No, the idea is to rack up the kills with your leader. It doesn't say you got to go fight the other champion.
Well, it does because you have to deploy within 3 inches of each other.
And you get the bonus
Yeah.
VPs for killing them, right?
Yeah, but if I don't know, if you're gonna leave the game to a coin toss, I feel like it's better to avoid the straight up coin toss and go make it a race. Gimli can't keep up with Helm if you ran away and just started chopping up dwarves.
But it just feels it. Then why have us deploy right in the middle? You know, why make us fight each other? Right? Just do it a normal thing and just make it Lords of Battle, whatever it is. Right? Because that's basically what that is. Except you deploy way
No.
closer.
No, it's all about your champion.
Yeah. Same with Lords of Battle. Your champion racks up kills.
There's no all the other scenarios you never deploy and be like, oh, this is how we're supposed to play this scenario. You can play the scenario however you want.
But this one just feels like with the deploying within 3 inches of the center, it feels like it's being shoehorned in when it doesn't need to be. It feels like they're like, how else can we make Lords of Battle different? Oh, let's just make them have to deploy super close. You know?
I get what you're saying, but do you think you could have won the game if you didn't leave Helm open for a charge turn 1?
Leave
And you went and just started trying to kill warriors.
If I didn't intend to lose 3 coin flips, I could have wrapped them. But I wasn't going to play like that because the intention is to charge in there. It's a bad scenario. I don't want to counterplay the scenario. It's dumb.
I don't want to disagree with you, but do you think you could have won the scenario if you didn't play the way it was? You think it was?
If I played better and after I realized, oh, I should just wrap them, which is dumb. I had a better chance at winning probably if I knew I was going to lose all 3 of those dice rolls. I would have wrapped them and just ran away. Another issue with that game is that the board was really choked up. There was very, very small laneways to fight. And even Steve was saying, this is a very bad board for you. I'm like, yeah, it was perfect for Dwarf Shield Wall. It's like his army fit perfectly in the little choke where I had to deploy Helm. And I could get like 4 cavalry models in against his shield wall with +1 to wound on the spear supports. And then I had Haleth wrapping around the side, but it was so far to get around. And then he had crossbows. It was just going to be a bad game for me, no matter what. And that's fine. And Steve and I had a good laugh about it, and we were reading over the new snares afterwards. So, good game, Steve. I think we're 1-1-1 now in our match history. So that game sucked. I got 20 0'd. So basically, I'm at -1 total score right now after getting a 20-1 victory. So it's kind of depressing. The third game was against my favorite list to play, which is Ents. For those of you who aren't in the league, I once played a 4-game tournament and got all three Ent players, and I lost all 3 of those games because I was tilted as heck.
We can preface this with so far in the new edition, you've faced Ents 5 times before this tournament, and you've lost all 5 games.
I've won 1 in old edition.
Now we're talking new
this
edition.
edition.
This edition,
Yeah,
I've played it.
you haven't beat Ents yet this edition, except for this tournament.
Well, I didn't
when you
beat
show
them. It was Fog of War against Ents. He had the 3 heroes and then an Ash. At the end of the game, he juked me on which terrain piece he had, which was I don't think I could have done anything to stop it anyway. I had my train piece. No, I didn't have my train piece because on the last turn, my guy ran away. I killed the Ent that was the target. I kept Haleth alive because I was the only target. Helm lived. Some interesting happened in that game. I got Helm to charge an Ent and surrounded the Ent. And then Treewood came in, charged one of my dudes, and proceeded to hurl at the combat. Which I hate. I really hate that. I get it, that it's powerful and, I should have looked out for that, but I can still be mad about it. So I knocked everyone over. Yeah, anyway. And that was my turn on rerolling to wounds, my once per game army roll, so that was wasted. No, that wasn't it. Another time, a later turn, I charged again with Helm on his butt, and I charged in a bunch of Royal Guard and Riders of Rohan. And Helm had to strike while he was on the ground, and he actually one of the rare times he actually won the strike up. And I got to re-roll. I had 20 dice with because it was full re-rolls, needing 6x4s, and I rolled 20 dice, and I didn't even get 1 6. I know we're not supposed to blame dice, but that's pretty fantastic. Anyway, the next turn, Helm got on his feet and punched the tree to death. So that was my target killed. He was fast playing me pretty heavily. We forgot to roll 1 or 2 times for the game to end on a 1 or 2, which was annoying. So my guy on my train piece ran away. So I lost 5 points there, and that caused the tie, 10-10.
You forgot to roll the end scenario?
Yeah, the 1 or 2, the scenario ends, which I feel like I never get. It always keeps going. The last game was against James Martha, the nice guy. He was playing Blackgate.
Great guy.
He had Troll Chieftain and in the mouth, and a bunch of Morannons on domination. And I was like licking my chops for this. I was like, finally, a battle line that Helm and Royal Guard can just plow through, and they did. It was so much fun. I felt bad, but it was so fun. Even Haleth with some riders were just messing stuff up. I forgot to use the army roll there, so that cost me some points for sure, because I could have a turn of reroll into wounds. But Helm was just like charging 10 inches, combating it with 3 riders or Royal Guard, and then moving 10 more inches across the board and just clearing objectives. It was dirty. The last turn, I had 2 bow shots, being 6 to wound, and I shot a Morannon Orc off an objective. That would have been its only objective. Or he had one where he had more models, so he got 1 point there, so it was 13-1. And I think I ended up 5th out of 14 players there. So
That's not too bad.
Yeah.
Is there any one thing that you look back on where it's like, oh man, if I did that, like there would have been podium potential? Like I guess the Steve Stokes game or the draw game, was there one moment where you're like, oh man, I should have if that went my way, that changes the tournament?
If the Steve Stoke game was at all close, even if I lost less badly, like our heroes were both still alive at the end of the game, and he was up to 8, and I had maybe 6 points, right? Just so I didn't get the minus 20 points from that. That really knocked me down. So that was a big one, but I wasn't going to play that any differently. We sort of had a gentleman's agreement that we both picked our heroes, our leaders, as the champion, and we deployed them right up front. Whoever was going to win
And
the
steal.
roll-offs were going to win, because we're gentlemen like that. The draw, like I said, we forgot to roll for game to end. Tug of War is a tricky scenario. There's so many moving pieces. You have to be juking people out as well. So like I had people in the back line that could have got to my another guy on my terrain piece, but he was on the other side of the board, making him touch another piece of terrain. I had one rider on each, or one or two riders on each of the pieces I could have picked.
So it
Because if
doesn't
he
know
sends
which
an
one
ent
you're going
there,
for.
it's game over. I can't fight an ent with one or two riders of Rohan. Yeah, I don't know if it was gonna be podium. I guess if I won that game with the extra 5 points, and then I lost less badly to Steve's game, maybe I could have pulled off. Well, I would have got fourth for sure, and then maybe potentially a third.
That's fair. That's fair. I guess the other thing we want to do before we get into our main topic is just kind of some of our local league news for Ontario. We'll just kind of look back at the last two tournaments that have gone on and kind of who podiumed, what they were playing. Just really quick go over it. So the most recent one was Tista Minis, which Andrew was just talking about. Andrew came fifth, but we have a top three. Steve Stokes, who beat Andrew in round two with the Army of Erebor, ended up winning. He went 4-0 that day. And second was Matty Lockwood with his Halls of Thranduil, which we've seen him play for all this edition, 6, 7 months. And then third was Simon LeBlanc with Depths of Moria, which feels like it's always on the podium recently.
Showing a lot of strength.
Yeah, for sure. And then if we look back a week before that, a little more of an interesting podium was the Barrie tournament. There was a 14-player tournament in Barrie on the 21st. First was, I believe it's Jonathan Young. It's just Jonathan Y on Longshanks, but I was playing Men of the West, and then we had Matty Lockwood with his Halls of Thranduil in second again. Both of them went 3-0. It just, the margin of victory was a little better for Men of the West. And then third, we have Nathan B with Men of the West again.
Oh.
Which was, I believe, yeah, pretty strong list. Let's put it that way. Yeah, nothing really jumps out there, but just wanted to recap some of the tournaments that have been going on and what happened. And then otherwise, I think what we want to talk about next is kind of some tournament stats that we've been going through. There's kind of a breakdown of how much usage every army is getting played, the ones that are podiuming, and kind of like that, stuff like that. We went through all of the OSBGL tournaments for the past, well, for all the new edition, really. So we have basically a top 20 army list that have been used recently, and it kind of, I think it's pretty similar to what is being seen around the world, to be fair. We're missing one or two, I think. But it's interesting to see here in Ontario kind of what people have been playing for the first 6 months when we've had kind of limited options. But our top three lists are actually our top four, I guess, because there's two tied for third. But Reclamation is the most popular list that we're seeing, followed by Depth of Moria with the Balrog, which we were saying before is seen on the podium quite a bit. And then in third, we have Halls of Thranduil and Garrison of Dale, which is, I believe all four of those kind of, I feel like anywhere in the world that you would be playing, you're going to see those four lists. One of the notable ones is right behind them is Fangorn. We have a ton of Ents players. They just seem to always roll up to tournaments, and they always end up drawing with Andrew.
Or beating me.
Yeah, like
drawing isn't lining up with you.
But then
All right, calm down.
the
We know they beat
part where
you.
it gets kind of ridiculous is when you look at podium appearances, and by far Depths of Moria is head and shoulders above anybody else right now. Followed by a bunch of like the Riff Raff in behind them. We got Battle of Fornos and Reclamation and Halls of Thranduil, Army of the White Hand. But the couple that aren't played a ton that have been seeing a lot of podiums is Army of the White Hand. I think we've only seen it 4 or 5 times at
Not very
tournaments,
much.
and it's podiumed 2 or 3 of those times, like pretty consistent. like we said before, depths it shows up a lot and it podiums a lot. It's just a consistent army. And we're not seeing the spam list. We're always seeing the Balrog, which is nice. I'd hate to just walk up against 70 goblins with 8 captains. So Army of the White Hand is one that kind of shows up. It's not played a ton, but at podiums. And Battle of Fornost is another one that Zach actually has been playing all this all this new edition as well. And then Men of the West, like we talked about, it podiumed twice at that one tournament. I think, I think it's only podiumed twice, but it's only been played like 4 times, which is I'd be interested when we get through the rest of this year if we see more of those lists how they're faring. But I think that's pretty in line with what we see around the world from what I hear from other podcasts and stuff. I mean, what do we know, right? Um, but looking at it, our main topic right now, we're just going to kind of get some general stuff out of the way for our league and where we're at and stuff. Like popular lists being like Reclamation, Depth, Dale, and Halls of the Thranduil. Like, what do you guys think? Why would we see those out of? It's been a smaller selection because we've only had the 2 army books, but why are we seeing those lists?
Well, out of the couple tournaments I've gone to, I've faced Reclamation probably over 50% of my games. It's just a solid list, I think. Like Boromir's such a strong, consistent hero. High fight, 6 might, 3 attacks. Mount him, don't have him mounted. He just does so much work. I mean, you can attest to that too, Will, with what you brought with the teams tournament. What he can do is so strong. And then the rest of the army doesn't have to be anything fancy. It's resilient. You know, you can get a shield wall with the infantry. Knights are very well costed, I find, in my
And you
experience.
get rangers in that list
Yeah,
too.
Rangers.
It just does a lot.
I think that's why we don't see Minas Tirith. Yeah.
So you just get slightly better shooting than if you took Minas Tirith Warriors with bows. All around, it's just a consistent list. It brings a lot of, it covers a lot of angles too, especially when we were down to just the 6 scenarios. It covers a lot of angles. It's not weak at any one thing, matchup wise. It's not like it goes into anything poorly. Would it go into and it would go excellent into other lists. So it does have its matchups where it's favorable, but nothing that really makes it weak.
And it's one of those real
in my
army lists where you actually have like a battle line, you have cav, you have some archery. Like it can do a lot of things, which is I think going up to 24 scenarios, it's gonna continue to be a good list because it is like it's versatile.
Has
Right?
access to everything.
It covers a lot of angles, depending on what you want to do with it, what your scenario is, what your mission objectives are in those scenarios. It's not like you're going to have to build it a specific way. It should be able to cover everything pretty
100%.
well.
What about depths? Why are we seeing so much Balrog?
Because it's amazing. That list, we were actually talking, when were we talking yesterday about, there's a tournament coming up tomorrow, which is, I don't want to date the episode, but it's on
Go ahead. We're recording July 4th.
July 4th. So on July 5th at Torchlight, which is another excellent hobby store in Burlington. 100-point league event going on there for 725 points. And I was saying, I'm not going to run Army Veteran 725. It's, you can do it, but it's tough to pilot, especially like a heavily cavalry army. Yeah, I'm sure I would do well, but I was like, I'm going to play something easy. So I was like looking at these stats. I was like, wow, Depths is podiuming the most according to the MESBG Discord server. And, you know, obviously I played with the Balrog before on Goblins, but we actually looked at the list and it's so overtuned. It has about 3 too many army bonuses. Like the Balrog itself getting heroic combats and a whip that you can drag in heroes, like that's already good. You know? Like, yeah, 1v1 me as the Balrog on a 4+. You know? Like, no thanks. And then you get fight 4 Prowlers, fight 4 Captains. There should not be fight 4 as Goblins. Like, as an Orc, okay, I get it, but Goblins are supposed to be the lesser breed of Orc.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. It has a lot of buffs. Bring the Balrog and 50
So what do you bring
Goblins.
more tournament?
Is this called, what is this,
Passionate.
a bandwagoner? You're just
I'm
hopping
hopping on.
on.
I'm tired of having to work to win my games.
God, this is just a straight insult to any depths player, right?
It's a point and click. It's so you just send the Balrog in. Who can stop? How many models do you genuinely have to fear?
So
Gilgalad, Elendil, Elrond, maybe Glorfindel, Aenor's. Yeah, I
Glorfindel,
guess Aenor.
Aenor.
If Aenor,
If you get the combo, I
yeah,
guess in the Battle of
if
Fornos
Aenor
list, it could be
charges, I'm
good.
worried. But if he doesn't charge, I
But
don't.
you lose the
Well,
fight.
even if he doesn't charge, he still matches
Yeah,
your
well,
fight.
He
whatever.
still
He's
matches
strength
your
4,
fight
3
value.
attacks. He's gonna do 1 wound,
Yeah, fair enough.
Nice.
and if
Probably
he
not.
loses, he's
Yeah,
dead.
that's fair enough.
He's gonna be wrapped by 100 goblins.
It's yes,
What about?
yes. It's
No, I was gonna move on.
go
Anything
ahead.
else about depths? Yeah.
It's just really good, consistent, forgivable. Like it's hard to maybe not screw up with it, but if you do screw up somewhere, there's so many goblins to cover objectives, or the Balrog's so strong.
It's weird to
It's
see
very
lists like
forgivable,
Reclamation be so consistent because you
one
have a
might
leader
say.
with 6 might points, and then you see a one like Depths where you have no might, like you're at the will of the dice at the end of the day, but it's still, I mean, board wide banner, board wide courage, +1 -1, like it is. Yeah,
Army doesn't
fearless
break until
around
the
the
Balrog's
Balrog,
dead.
like it's just a bunch of
Plus 1
stuff
fight
that just
value, I feel,
kind
is huge too. I think the access to fight
yeah.
4 with goblins
If
is really
if
strong.
you,
Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but that feels really strong.
No, I think you're right.
I'd almost say the not breaking until the Balrog's dead
That as well.
is one of the most
Mhm.
powerful aspects of the army because look at all the scenarios that involve ending at breaking point. You could kill over 50% of the goblins and be control of the objective, but
Yeah,
if the Balrog's still coming around killing the rest of your army, you're eventually going to lose because you
that's a
can't
lot of
hold the objectives you thought you
yeah, that's a good
had.
point because that's a lot of
So,
how I win games or like try to end out games playing Army of Edoras. It's like achieve the objectives, break, just charge in and break myself, and hopefully it's a cord ring. I can cord myself, or hopefully the game ends on a 1 or a 2 because I'm up now and I need the game to end. And you can there's ways to make that happen, but uh, if it doesn't, like if you can't break an army the other way, you're like, okay, well I need to break you for the game to end or quarter you. It's like no goblins are running away ever because they're fearless and they got +1 to the courage. It's just, yeah. Like we were saying, it's too many buffs. It doesn't need that many. It would still be good if you took away any 2.
yeah. Just a good list, I'd say, is, again, well-rounded, good army
Yeah.
rules, does a lot.
Going to look at like a Dale, like how did we go from nobody playing Dale to everybody having 3 wind lances?
Because they're cheap,
I guess.
affordable,
Yeah, I guess so, but it's
strong.
just
Army
it's the one way to deal with
bonuses.
monsters in this edition, I feel. So we see a ton of it.
Yeah, that is true.
And monsters feel very strong this edition for sure, which they needed. They were, at least like Fangorn felt last season,
Mhm.
again, a bit lackluster with all of their rules, but the tune-up feels good. Like they're strong and they're tough to play against, but I don't think it's impossible to play against them.
Yeah, I agree. I think looking at some of the lists that have been underrepresented, um, stuff that we haven't seen played a ton, partly because we're a smaller league, I think, partly because not everybody has huge collections and painted armies and everything like that. But like how all the drama in the first couple months of the new edition about Eagles, and I think we're 10 or 11 tournaments deep into our OSBGL league, and there's been 0 Eagle players. We have never seen an Eagles list. That just it seems crazy.
It is odd, isn't it? But we have an abundance of Fangorn, which feels like sort of a different take.
A lesser version of
Yeah,
Eagles, yeah. Yeah, it's the amount of Ents we're seeing is kind of raises the eyebrows, but to not see any Eagles just feels kind of ridiculous.
I'm not complaining.
I'm not complaining.
I, I have 2 Eagles in my crawl space, and every time I like I roll by them and I see them, I'm like, oh man, I could be that guy. I could be that guy. And then the other,
I
well,
don't
I
think you
don't
need
go
to
to
be that
tournaments
guy.
anyways, so
Yeah, just for
uh,
run.
the other, the other 2 that get played a ton is actually Erebor Reclaimed, the one where you can march and charge when you're marching, and then Ugluk Scouts, which is a mini horde with animosity built into it and stuff. So I don't know. Maybe people just don't have the models, but we've seen zero of either of those lists either in our league as well.
I might have missed that before, but Erebor Reclaim can march
Yeah,
and
you got 8-inch
charge
moving
with the
dwarves that
march.
could charge you.
It's dirty.
It's a bit of a surprise.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
I know. I listened to. I guess we didn't talk about what we listened to in the stuff, but I listened to like the Golems Gamers and Entmoot podcasts already, and uh, oh man, I'm gonna forget his name. I think it's Ali King on Golems Gamers. He plays a lot of Erebor Reclaimed, and he's won like GBHL 100s and stuff. And it's like, it seems like a dirty list, but
Guess so. I mean, it could definitely catch you unawares if you're not expecting the extra distance to close the gap and then to
yeah,
charge off of it as well.
yeah. So it's interesting. Again, we're a smaller league, so we don't see a ton of stuff, but we do have a lot of players. I mean, we, I think our attendance so far, I think the last update we had was actually March, but we had over 100, over 128 players so far. When I think 66 of them were like not repeated, you know what I mean? Like 66 players coming out. Some of them come out to multiple events and stuff, obviously, but with 66 players to see a lot of just the same stuff is kind of weird. We'll see with the third book if that changes a ton.
And just to qualify, you're saying 6 players are like, come to multiple events. It's more like 20 or 30 that come out to like 3, 4, 5 events. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, we have
Consistently.
66. I counted. We have 66 individual people that have come to an event so far as of March, which is a long time ago, from last August, I believe.
Probably a
So
few
that could
more.
be a
Yeah,
bit more of a
we're missing
number.
a few months,
I
but
can't
But it
imagine it'd be more than
seems
80 though.
no. But it's probably like a good core 20 that go to the
Yep.
most events consistently, interchangeably.
right. So attendance has been kind of, I don't know, 6 7 months of new edition has been a little bit rough in our league. We're seeing tournaments. I think we've had one tournament that has hit 20 people. Um, I've had an 18 and a 16, but a lot of them seem to sit around that like 12 to 14 range almost. I think each of the last three tournaments have been 14 or less. Looking at Oshawa, Hamilton, and Barrie, all not getting over 14. Um, which is kind of the reason for the podcast. We're trying to reach some of the people who are in the game in the community and kind of bring awareness to events coming up, but also kind of just how are we going to solve this, right? How are we going to get people into the game? How do we get new players into the game? How do we get existing players back out after they've dropped the game for the past 7 months? Um, Again, we can point fingers all we want. I know Derek had a ton of trouble with his tournaments with the GW delays, like the third book and the legacy's not coming out 6 months into the edition. I know, like last year, I had 12. We had a core of 12 guys in Lindsay. That they didn't come out every week, but we'd see them every once in a while. And I like until the past 2 weeks, I've struggled to get people out for I've struggled to get even just 3 or 4 people out for our weekly game nights, just because the list building restrictions killed a bunch of them. The GW delay killed a bunch of them. It's just like trying to get them back now that we have a full edition, is going to be kind of our task. I don't know if that's the right way to term it, but like how do we bring these people back, right? Um, And so I don't know. Do you guys have any ideas about, the attendance we're seeing, the stuff that's been going on recently? About you think people are going to come back now that we have a third book? Everything's just people are going to start signing up again, or what?
I'd like to think so. I mean, obviously, on Ontario, one of the biggest issues, besides, you know, the lack of the third book, the legacy, list building issues, the common stuff that everyone always keeps saying, Ontario, a big
Yeah,
issue is location. When you run a tournament in Lindsay, if you live on the other side of Toronto, it's almost impossible to go without getting a hotel for the night, just trying to deal with Toronto traffic, or vice versa if you had, say, something down in London. You're going to draw local people within a couple hours drive, but outside of that, it's really hard for people to make it. Like the guys from Ottawa, when they come down to a tournament, it's a commitment for the weekend to come to a 1 day tournament. It's a long day. Or guys from down in the Toronto area going up to Ottawa. We're not really close to be able to host big events, but it would be nice to find a way to draw, I guess, new crowds into these local areas and try and get the local
Yeah.
area to get bigger numbers.
I don't think it'll immediately fix the issue. I think there was some momentum, and unfortunately, I know we can blame GW, but I'm not sure it's totally GW's fault. I think it's more licensing and lawyers' faults. That they killed a lot of that momentum, unfortunately, and it's going to take some
Yeah.
time to rebuild, which is again kind of why we're doing this and trying to. I know Will, you've been running a lot of tournaments and been doing your best to improve that on your end.
Yeah, we'll see. I got a third one coming up in August. I'm hoping I want to hit 20 people. I know Lindsay's not. It's not in the middle of nowhere, but it's also not close to anything, right? So trying to get people out here and that, but we're gonna try to get some local guys out that haven't been coming and stuff like that. So hopefully, hopefully we can kind of
In fact, you
boost the numbers up a little bit, right? And kind of work it that way. We'll see. I mean, this summer's busy. I feel like the fall, I'm hoping we see kind of a balancing act of what the numbers we're gonna see consistently, and hopefully it's higher than 12 and 14, right?
Yeah. It's a lot of probably people stepping up and running tournaments too. Like the consistency of when tournaments are run. Maybe, unfortunately, I think June there was a bunch, like almost every weekend there was an event, which is great that June was jam-packed, but it also makes it a lot harder for people to go to the other events, even if it's in with drivable range, to be able to take that much time off to go every weekend to an event
Yeah.
is tough.
And we're not.
So it's like it would be nice if it was maybe a bit more spread out, not
Yeah.
right back to back. I know myself personally, I have a hard time committing that much
Well,
time to go to an event. Obviously, I'd say I could do every weekend, but
and that's the thing, right? When
you
you
just
have
can't.
a Hamilton and Barrie tournament back to back weekends, you get, instead of just one of those tournaments running and having, a couple of Barrie guys travel down to a Hamilton and getting all those local guys, or vice versa, we're seeing the Barrie guys stayed in Barrie, the Hamilton guys stayed in Hamilton, and I don't think we're a big enough league to be able to sustain that many tournaments almost. Which sounds crazy. You'd think the more tournaments the better, but we're almost seeing we're picking attendance from each other, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, back before the COVID era, when we were going to, I'd say, a lot more events consistently, we had about one or two
Hmm.
events a month. It was a big event, and you'd see guys make more of the effort to travel the distance because
Yeah.
that was your event for the month. Which, on the one hand, like you said, it's good that it's spreading to the fact you could have more events in a month. It just is probably affecting the overall size of those individual events. Because are you going to travel 2 hours when you could just travel 20 minutes?
Yeah, exactly, right? It's 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 not a bad problem or a good problem. It's just an interesting thing that we should be aware of in this league. Like, how much is too much? How spread out do we need to be? Like, an Ottawa tournament running a weekend after a London tournament isn't going to affect each other, right? Like, you're 7 hours, 6, 7 hours in between them driving time. You're not gonna. It's not a big deal. But when you're
Yeah.
an hour, hour and a half, it's like that's a pretty normal range for players in Ontario.
Yeah, it is odd that more tournaments is
Yeah.
equaling less turnout. You'd think, it's good that we're having all these events happening, but yeah, it is cutting in. Especially like I live in the GTA, so I can sort of go anywhere. If there's like one in Hamilton or Burlington or well, those are the two main ones, and then you run yours in Lindsay. Like I can make it to all those no problem. Just a quick hop on the highway,
Yeah.
but for events that are further away, you know, it does get tough. And then you got to pick like, do I want to go to Lindsay? Well, I mean, I know you, so I'm gonna go. But if I didn't, do I want to go to Lindsay or just want to wait next week and go to one then? You know?
Yeah, exactly. I guess a good question for you actually is if you were looking at it where um there was only one a month, right? So you didn't go up to the Barrie tournament because you had that Hamilton one the next weekend. But if that Barrie tournament was the only one for the month, are you taking the trip up there? Because it's only what, an hour, hour and a half from
Only
you,
about
right?
an hour and a half. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I probably would have gone. Yeah. If it was the only one, but also I know there would have been a bigger turnout as well, right? What did they get? 14 people
Yeah, 14.
to
Yeah,
go that far to play in a 14-player tournament. I mean, it's okay. But yeah, if I could just wait a weekend and get 16 players in Hamilton, right? I can do that. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But would that 14 become a bigger number? Because like if you're willing to make it, would somebody else be willing? And all of
yeah,
a
then
sudden
it's
that
worth it.
14's
Then it's
now
worth
a
going
20
for sure.
person.
And we're not saying we should stop doing all these tournaments because the more people, like, we're getting people out, we're getting people playing, which is the main thing. But I wonder if the spacing of it should be not policed, but a little more thought, or a little more just checking with the league admins, or I don't even know who is in charge of tournaments, to be honest. I don't know. It's kind of the Wild West right now. Anybody can set up an event page, right?
Uh, it is good. You got to check in. You got to
Which is
check in and
good.
make sure. But I think we're just happy to have tournaments. But maybe if there are people who are committed to running them, it might be worth it to say, we don't need 4 events in June. But then, I get both sides. You want events everywhere, right? For different people to go. You don't want to be policing it too much. Say you can't run an event.
Yeah, and they are pulling
Yeah.
14 players to their tournament. Like, it's not like they're getting enough numbers
Yeah,
for a tournament. You know what I mean? Like,
Less than 10.
I don't know what the minimum is, but I feel like you got to get up over 12 if you want to,
at least.
like, have a decent day, right? Like, to have a decent playthrough of 4 rounds.
Yeah, you don't want 10 people
But
at a tournament, 3 of them playing Ents and hit all of them.
yeah, exactly.
Some,
That's the way
sometimes
she
that's
goes.
just the way of the road. Just the way of the road, Bubs.
Yeah, I feel so bad for you every time I see you get drawn into ends. If I'm being honest, it's been too much ents. I think the amount of times ents have been
If,
played, you've
if
almost
I'm
played
gonna
them
be
every
honest, I
single
don't.
time that they've come
Pretty
to a
well, yeah.
tournament.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I know you don't.
Yeah,
I
okay.
don't feel bad.
I guess we'll get into that's a lot of talk about our league and kind of our attendance. What I see as an issue. Maybe it's not as big of an issue as we see it. But the other thing we wanted to do today for kind of our main topic is we all went through legacies and armies of Middle Earth. Kind of wanted to choose a couple things that we think going forward, because we're going to start seeing them at tournaments. I know Torchlight tomorrow is not allowing legacies.
That's
Is that
correct.
right? And I'm not sure the
Correct.
reasoning, but I feel like every tournament coming up that we know about is allowing legacies, which I
I
think
don't see why
is
you wouldn't.
what we're gonna see going forward. Um, but we've each gone through. We've picked two things: either an army list or a specific model that we think coming out of the Armies of Middle Earth book, or the legacies document that we think is kind of the bee's knees. We're gonna see on the table, but not just the table, maybe the top tables. And this is a bunch of just schmucks giving their opinions, right?
I cannot be overstated.
Um,
It's a good
First,
description.
let's rotate through. So give me one of your two, Andrew.
One of my two, this is one I've always dreamed of playing this. I have this key model in metal from some kind of wild model deal I did years ago. Is the Fields of Celebrant and Aor the Young. I think that list is, people are sleeping on that. Maybe they're not. I just haven't heard any talk about it. But I do think that it is strong
To be fair, I agree with you. I think it is very good.
and cheap.
He's a very
120
solid
points.
hero.
Yeah, and like the Kings of Men profile is actually really nice
Yep.
too now. And then Sons of Earl. I don't. Well, they've gone up to fight 4 base, right? So they're fight 5 on the
They're
charge
fight.
now, and they're 2 attacks base, and now they're 3 on the charge. Like they're actually like they're
20 points
actually
overall.
appropriately costed now, and they feel
They're
really
actually
good.
not fight 5 on the charge. They are fight 5 within 6 of Aero.
Yeah, sorry. And is it? I think it's only he could take it in his war
Yes,
land,
they have
right?
the
Is
elite
that correct?
keyword.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, Earl. him and a couple of his sons, like you can expect to kind of chew through almost anything in the game right now.
Yeah, fight 5 even when you're charged. Like I know Royal Guard and Riders get the +1 when they charge within 12. But this is within 6, you're always getting +1 fight. So fight 5, and then yeah, 2 attacks up to 3. It's gonna hurt when you lose one, but they're D6. They have an armored horse as well in that 20 points. I think they're quite good.
And even if they get
Yeah, 2 attack
charged,
space, fight
they
5
still have 2
within
attack
6, which
space.
they're gonna be.
That's huge. Still going to get
Yeah,
the extra attack.
It's a cool mixed force too, like having to take the Gondor contingent, like take a little shield wall or something on the ground, and then you get to bring Earl and his sons around and just do Earl
yeah,
stuff.
smash stuff. Um, Side note: this is a really good story and Unfinished Tales. If you ever have the chance to read it, Formation of Rohan.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then the King of Men we said really good. Now I think it's 120 points again. For was it another fight 6 striker with a lance and armored horse.
Yeah,
D7.
yeah, and I think the King of Men Gondor gets the extra might point too, so he's 3
Oh,
might.
so they're both 3/2/2 heroes then.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
And the
yeah,
King of Men
120
is
all in
75
with everything,
points.
which I think you take.
yeah,
And
Very
then
well
yeah, you take
priced.
your shield wall. Gondor's getting reroll 1s to wound within range of objective markers. And then you get the 110. Oops, I was off by
110
10
all in.
points. And then the Charge of Arrow is sort of like a different, I guess, slightly worse version of the Army of Edoras army rule. But effectively, you're rerolling all your wounds for 1 turn in the game, which is very, very strong, especially if you're 3 attacks, fight 4 on the charge, or strength 4 rather.
yeah. The birth of an alliance special rule is kind of wonky, where you have to be 6 inches from a Gondor and Rohan
Yeah,
hero to get the +1 to courage and intelligence, which seems pretty corner case.
yeah. That's a sort of a nice to have. If it wasn't there, you wouldn't really miss it usually. The +1 courage is nice if you're turtling somewhere and you have Errol and the King alive.
Yeah, I could see it going off on like seize the prizes when you have Earl and the King near somebody trying to dig up the prize, or like heirlooms, something like that, where you get the +1 intelligence. But it's yeah, I think it's corner case. It's
Yeah.
not hugely relevant. Yeah, it's a nice simple list though.
Straightforward. The tax is not big, and it's actually good tax. 2 really good heroes. I don't like playing from fighting up from fight 6, especially with the new changes this edition, but I feel like you can play around with this, especially since Errol gets 50/50 to get the might back. I think you can make it work. Again, it's going to be a list where you're going to have to try for your games. It's going to be tough to pilot depending on the list, but I think it'll be fun. I think I'll definitely paint this up at some point. I don't know how I'm going to get my hands on some suns, but let's see.
I wonder.
Yeah, I think that's all that we had to say about that. Zach, what's one of yours?
I don't know if I'd go outright and say I think it might be good. I think it would be a very interesting list with potential to be good. Um, I was thinking the Battle of Greenfield. I the Bull Roarer, 50 points, is very cost effective. You get to mount a Hobbit.
Oh yeah,
That's just fun in general. The army bonus gives them a free roll combat every turn. Who knows if it's going to work, but it's worth a shot. The hobbits within 3 inches get dominant. That could be very important, uh, especially on a lot of scenarios. Dominance seems to be a pretty strong rule, especially when you're going to be bringing a lot of models to begin with. And he's got a nice little touch too. If you roll a natty 6 to wound and you get through, it counts as 2. So potentially that heroic combat
what's a natty
is
6, Zach?
more successful.
I never heard you say that before.
A natural 6.
That's the hockey
Oh
talk
my
coming
God.
through.
Christ.
Then the other nice little bonus to the army is the Rangers of the North get 2 attacks. As they are now, my experience, I have not had a whole lot of success with them. I personally believe a second attack would do wonders. So in this, I think that would be great. And the other final rule is the reroll 1s to hit in deployment zone for Hobbit archers. Well, for shooting attacks. So I guess throwing stones would count as well. But, the Hobbit archers, they got the 18-inch range, which isn't great. But in some of these new scenarios, the deployment zones, it changes things up a bit. And if they sit there, the only thing you don't want to roll is a 2. Like 3+ to shoot, get to reroll a 1, just don't roll a 2, and you're going to be throwing a lot back. I drew up 2, like, just random list at 600 points. And there was one, it was 84 models, 32 bows, 8 might. It had 2 war horns in it to help their courage. Yeah, sure, it's not going to move very fast, but
We need to
84
bring back
models is a
model
lot.
limits at tournaments. I can't have.
It would be awful to play. It would be awful.
You'd have to
play,
bring
for sure.
movement trays.
You
to
just
be
never get through a
respectful.
game. But you could go the opposite way, and at 600 points, you could bring the Bull Roar and 22 Rangers. Each have 2 attack, each have 1 might.
If you're gonna do that.
Is it good? But then you don't get to
I feel
play.
like your
all
first
the
list is the
horns.
correct way to play it. You hoard out as many bows as possible with the war horns. I think this is a very fun list, and I didn't know just how much you could hoard out. But yeah, looking at it, like you get a 50-point hero and then 25-point heroes.
And you could drop the war horns.
Yeah, and it's not like 2.
Add more models.
It's like 5.
It's just
exactly 5.
It was just something I randomly.
I think with that many
together.
bows,
Not with much
rerolling
thought,
ones to hit.
but that's
actually pretty dirty. But the thing is, it's 18-inch range, right?
Yes.
So you
Yes. How many rounds of shooting are you going to get off before they charge
kill
into you?
84
And
models.
They stand 19 inches away from your deployment zone.
It's just interesting list, I think. Is it going to be good? Probably not, but it could be in the right scenario.
Yeah, it'll struggle with
and against the right
opponent.
opponent.
Sure. You can't send the
Reconnoiter. You couldn't do
pick
it.
up an objective somewhere. He's gonna die.
He needs support.
Yeah,
but that was my first list. Battle of Greenfield. Big question.
I think it's
mark.
fun.
Big
I
question
wouldn't
mark.
want to play against it, but I would want to see someone bring it. You know what I mean?
You want to see the 4-foot
And you
board
couldn't
have
play it
hobbits
for a
all the way
tournament.
across
Game
the
tournament.
midline.
A 4-game tournament playing
you'd need
with
movement
84
trays.
models
There's
would be
no-
exhausting.
You
By the
have to
end of
bring movement trays.
Man, I'm gonna be honest. I can't stand when people bring movement trays. I don't know why.
You want them to move 84 models individually?
Yeah, if you're gonna bring that amount of models, it's like you could go ahead and waste my time and your time moving 84 times every turn. I don't know why the movement trays, like when you sit them in the movement trays, they aren't actually touching base, so then it doesn't look right, and then they get close enough to you, and then they have to pull all the models out, take the movement tray away, then put them all back where they thought like they should be or whatever. It's like, I don't know.
I played a guy at the last tournament I went to, and he used just cardboard cutouts, so it wasn't like that. He just ended up
that's
slipping the
almost
cardboard
better.
out underneath. It was really slick. It
That's
was
not
way
bad.
better.
But
It
still,
was
I mean,
way more efficient.
if I want to play Lord of the Rings and I want to have my painted army against your painted army, and then we got pieces of cardboard sliding around the board, it's just kind of, it doesn't ruin it for me, but it's like, man, what are we doing here? But yeah, I get it. My first one, which actually did podium already, the first tournament it was able to be taken to, is I think is going to be a good one, is the Army of Erebor. And I hope I don't sound like a pessimist all throughout this episode, but I don't know why. I always see the things that just bug the heck out of me. And so, like, Defenders of the Pelennor, their one bonus is every hero gets a free roll combat. And then that's it. And then this army, I don't know what happened, but they got that rule. And then they got Gimli and Glowing running around together, re-rolling all the failed to wound rolls together. And then they got the most, I don't know, I don't want to phrase it too poorly, but the most like simple best rule in the game, which is if you have a spear, you get +1 to wound. It just seems really straightforward, and like your whole army is going to be Iron Hills with spears, right? It just seems like, looking at it, it's not even like you're limited on hero choice. You have, I think, like 10 or 11 heroes to choose from. You're all getting free hero combats. Gimli and Glowing are buddy, and then all your spear supports get +1 to wound. I just think, yeah, dwarves always have a problem with movement. You got to bring a march or something, but that list's just like super high defense, super killy now. Strength 4 troops with +1 to wound on the spears. Like a really good selection of heroes. I just when I read that one, I was like, oh man, that's gonna be good. And then Steve took it to the tournament you were at, Andrew, right?
I
You
played
faced
it,
that
and
list.
yeah, it's really killy, super killy.
I think you bring up a good point too that each hero gets a free hero combat once is just one of three rules, while defenders
Yeah, and
is its
defenders, you
only
can
rule.
make the
Doesn't
you can make the
really
argument that defenders
have.
has such wide selection that it makes it a variety list or whatever. But like this list also has 11 heroes to choose
And
from.
this list got a lot of
You know,
heroes.
like it doesn't have the same troop selection, but it's just tough as nails when you try to move it at all, right?
Another,
So yeah, it
sorry, go
was
on.
no, I was just gonna say that kind of wrap it up that like, I just think it's gonna be super killy, super hard to kill, and outside of movement scenarios, which there are a lot of, you're gonna have to bring a march, but it's gonna be tough to beat.
Yeah, it is. Having played it, albeit on a terrible or extremely advantageous board for the list, and in a scenario where you know we had a gentleman's agreement that we're not playing super competitively. Um,
Yeah, the scenario you played wrong. Yeah.
no, that scenario sucks. I'm gonna ban it at all my future events.
Oh
The other
God.
thing with that list is that not only do you have shield wall dwarves, right? So you're getting defense 8 with +1 wound on the spears. First of all, dwarves. Iron Hill has always been an issue because of dwarves with a shield wall with spears. Like dwarves aren't supposed to have that. I mean, I get it, but from a game design perspective, it seems like too much. But then you also give them
Uh-huh.
crossbows. You also give them cavalry, right? And then they have amazing heroes. Dwarf heroes are always good. The other thing about that list, which is unique, which I think we talked about this the other day, or maybe not. There's one unique thing about this army that I don't think any other army has. And if pause now and try and figure it out, I'm going to say it in three, two, one. They can take a banner with a shield that benefits from shield wall, and I believe no other army has that.
Oh
So they have a
shoot.
D8 banner.
Oh, I did
I
not
think
realize that. You got
it's
me.
the only model modeled with a shield and a banner. He's got it on his back. So in this new weird rules writing where you can't convert anything and you only can use the model with what it has on it. The model has a shield on it, even though it's on its back. He's not using it properly, but he counts as with a shield wall. At least I'm pretty sure, unless Steve Stokes played that wrong, but I don't think he did.
No, no, you're right. You're right. That's yeah. Last edition, every banner had a shield on its back, right?
You would
Like,
glue one on or throw it on the base and say he's got a shield. I did that
yeah,
with orcs all the time. They're like, yeah, of course. Of course your banner's taking a shield. But now, yeah, I
yeah,
think it's the only banner
it's
model with a shield. Aside from like models that count as a banner, but you know what I mean.
yeah, no, 100%. Uh,
That's
yeah, I
very
missed that. I
interesting.
missed the banner with the shield, to be honest, and that makes me. I'm not mad. I'm
The
just
list has
angry.
everything. It has
Disappointed.
everything you could want. It's so good.
I just think of the armies I play and like drawing this one, and it's like, man, how do I beat it? Like, what am I gonna do?
It's really tough.
But yeah. Anyway, Andrew, what's your
A
second one?
second one, I know I'm going to throw you guys a curveball here because it's not what I'm going to say it was in our pre-planning. I'm going to go with a hero that we talked about that I really like, and that is Razgush, War Leader of the North. Uh, I think that this guy,
Okay.
well, he was always really interesting, and he continues to be interesting in this edition. For those of you who don't know, he was a forge-rolled model that came with another orc shaman in what was that list called? The Leech Assault on Mercury Lothlorien.
Yeah, assault on Lothlorien. Yeah.
He's a fight 6, strength 4, D7, 3 attack, 3 wound, 3/3/1 orc. Which is kind of crazy to have an orc with that stats. Um, he makes elves ignore their elvish weapon rule. He's got Elfbane and Hatred Elf. He really hates elves. He can bring bats with him no matter the list. 12-inch stand fast. He's got strike. It's just a really like at 120 points. Even if you're not playing elves, I feel like if you're not playing elves, he's maybe a bit overcosted. But if you are playing elves, he's undercosted, I would say, because he can fight anyone. I think magic is the only thing that's gonna slow him down. He doesn't have resolve. He's only got 3 will. But other than that, uh, Well, but like
Only 3
that's
wounds.
resisting what, one or two spells maybe, or none. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that if you're running into like a non-magic heavy elf force, he's gonna tear it up. Especially he gets up to fight 7 when he's fighting elves, right? In the for the army bonus.
Yeah,
So
correct.
he's
Yeah.
like striking great with against other elves, which is extremely, extremely rare for evil to even get a fight 6 orc. Like, where do you get fight 6 in evil? It's pretty rare outside of wraiths and maybe I don't even know where else. Fight 6 is usually the limit, but he goes up to fight 7.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. He is bringing bat swarms alone
Yeah,
makes him like he also gets to bring the spiders, both versions of the spiders and fell wargs in his warband too, and that's in any. I think he's in 2 lists, right? He's in the fell beings of Mirkwood, and then he's also in Army of the Great Eye,
that's
which
right.
means that like you can end up with some
Yeah.
really weird stuff where he's bringing bat swarms and stuff to a list that has a Witch King on a fell
Yeah,
beast, and like you get some pretty wonky
it's like old
combinations
school.
there.
You're playing
Yeah,
old school.
Good
Just get
combos.
access to every model.
yeah. Talk about Army of the Great Eye with like 30 hero options. It's the ultimate soup list.
Yeah, I know that we complain a lot about list building this edition, but there's a few lists,
Wi-
Army of the Great Eye being one, where you can pretty much take.
Yeah,
And it's got a pretty
Yeah, I don't think
interesting
it's
army
super
rule to
good,
go
but
with it.
it's something for sure. It's a
yeah.
benefit.
I've
Yeah.
played against it, and it's actually it's quite thematic and it's quite fun actually. Like the game I played, he had a Witch King, so he split his force in half. Witch King goes one way with Harbinger. The Eye of Sauron goes the other way with Harbinger. You got Black Numbs up front. You got Morannons behind.
That's
Like
cool.
it's it's a tough list. It feels good.
Wait, we're not talking about Army of the Great Eye, but yeah,
Yeah, but Razgush is in it.
he's in
Razgush
it.
is in it,
Yes.
and then to have that
So it
list
counts.
and bring Bat Swarm, like like he's a cool guy because he brings all the
Yeah.
options, right?
And if you fight elves, he is
Yeah.
gonna hurt the opponent.
Yeah. All right, Zach, what do you got for us?
And my other one was one that's been getting, I think, a little bit of flack
Oh, just a
online
little.
about its current state, and that's the fiefdoms. Um, I mean, yeah, Imrahil's maybe overcosted a little bit. The banner being shrunken isn't ideal, and now that it only affects Dol Amroth, the keyword, and the other, like the Axemen, the Clansmen, the Archers, they all lost the Dol Amroth keyword. That's definitely hurts the
Mm-hmm.
special rule in itself. They also, in the old edition, the rule was great that any hero's special rule was used with any of the other models. That's gone. But there's so much killing potential in this list. Just getting that +1 to charge or +1 to wound on the charge. Yeah, so when they get so much killing potential when the hero gets the charge off. You look at the clansmen, they're two-handed weapons. So if you can win the fight, and if you get that natural 6, you don't get the -1. So you have a better chance of winning. You get now +2 to wound if you're within 3 inches or whatever it was of Angbor. +2 to wound's pretty good at trying to kill something. Even dwarf, like an Iron Hills dwarf and shield line, it makes their defense a little bit less. The Axemen, they can go two-handed if you want. That could be a potential +2 to wound model on the charge. And in my hypothetical sense, I haven't tested it out yet. I don't really know if it would be good. But if you put Imrahil in a shield wall with some knights up front, backed by some pikemen in the legacy, you could potentially have 8 dice at +1 to wound. Like, well, not, I guess, in every fight, but the whole pike block could be +1 to wound,
Yeah, this is the one
which
you
is a lot
turned
of
us on to right
dice.
before the episode that shocked me. But let's go over that army rule, leaders of the fiefdoms, where I misinterpreted. I think a lot of people did. Where it's basically we all thought that if Imrahil charges in and then the Dol Amroth knights next to him charge in, then they get the +1 bonus to wound. But it turns out you only need the hero to charge, and then he confers a 6-inch bubble of +1 to wound. Which, correct me if I'm wrong, but that procs it onto all of the pikes behind you because they all
That's
share
how I
Imrahil's
interpreted it.
keyword. And so now Imrahil charges, and you have
Yeah.
the entire pike block with +1 wound, not just the front line that charge, which is what I originally understood it as. Yeah.
Yeah, it just adds a lot more killing potential to the overall list. As is it's I mean, the pikemen need to be in it, so if you have a non-legacy list, sure, you could use the axemen as spear support, and that would still get the +1 if
Yeah.
Forlong was near.
It's harder to work.
But having having the pikemen in it, it could make the block really powerful. And you got good fight, especially with Imrahil there. Now you're got fight 5 front line, and I guess pike support as well, so you're gonna win a lot of those fights as well. You tuck a banner somewhere around there. Well, you don't need the banner because Imrahil counts as a banner to those specific
Yeah, well, he
warriors.
doesn't count as a banner
I
for
think in this
VPs,
case,
right? Yeah.
no, just for the rerolls. So you would put a banner somewhere else in your list. But for
Yeah,
that
correct.
particular block,
Yeah.
you would have rerolls with +1 to wound, with a good fight value, and a really strong hero. I think it's got potential. I don't think it might be as good as some of these other lists, but it's better than I think a lot of people are giving it credit for, potentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looking
I
forward to
think you're
giving it a
right. I
shot.
think I think there is some play. +1 to wound anywhere is just good,
Really
right?
good.
Like anytime you can have a turn,
Yeah.
like Reclamation, they get a turn of warriors getting +1 to wound. Uh, what's Army of Edoras? They get to reroll wounds with
Reroll, yeah,
Helm.
but Helm's burly, so there's a +1 there.
Yeah, but like anytime you get a wound modifier, it just that's such a huge thing. And then for this army to have it kind of all over the place, possibilities of it all over the place. Um, yeah,
And
like
some with
it can get kind of
+2.
crazy.
Same kind of thing with Airborne Reclaimed, right? +1 wound everywhere. It's really strong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Army of Airborne.
Super reliable, yeah.
It's reliable. It just helps you bring in that extra damage to try and kill that extra model a turn, which could change the game.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to giving it a
No,
shot
I
and seeing what happens. It could be absolutely bad, and I might have no idea.
yeah, I listened to the people online too early, and then you've straightened me out. I'm on your side. Maybe we'll see. You got to
Maybe.
bring it to a tournament,
I don't want to. Yes.
but otherwise, I think I got one more. This is the only model
Yeah.
I can see from the legs. These are the third book being a problem, and that's the Golden King, which I think a lot of people probably looked at and kind of rolled their eyes at. But specifically, like you look at the Golden King, and I think that what is it, Grand Army of the South that he's in? Um, it's a
Yeah.
pretty, it could be a really fun list. I was playing around with it yesterday, and Golden King and Amder are the same heroic tier, which means you can take Golden King, make him your leader because he has 6 will points and can just make people not wound him or not strike at him, right? So you got 6 turns of him just tanking whatever you want, a Balrog or Aragon King or troops, like you know what I mean? Like it just the profile itself seems ridiculous to me. It seems really good. And so if he's your leader and you have an Amder like a fight 7 uh free striking when other people strike, wounding heroes on 5s, um bringing like a black dragon pike block, like almost the Imrahil effect that you were talking about, Zach. He brings a fight 5 pike block basically. um yeah, it
Yeah.
just the combinations you can get in that list feel really good, and the Golden King as your leader I think is a really competitive choice to have a guy that, unless there's a mass amount of shooting or like um or magic, like he's gonna be really tough to take off the board. Like there's not a ton of ways you can get him off the board.
Yeah, I agree. It is. As soon as I read this profile, I was kind of jealous I don't have this model or an army to go with it. But like he's burly, 4 burly attacks, 4 wounds.
Oh.
You know, he can't strike, but whatever. You don't really care about if you win a fight or not. You want to be fighting the big hero because you just pay a will point. You go, oh, Balrog? Yeah, you can't. Here's a coin, Balrog. You can't strike me.
And if you win, you have a good chance at wounding them if or killing something because he's got 4 attacks at
Yeah,
+1
he wants to
wound
be
at
charging
strength 4.
either 2 infantry a turn
His killing potential is
or
good.
into the big hero. Because he'll kill the infantry and he'll tie up the
And
hero.
Yeah.
yeah, and he counts as a banner for
Yeah, he
VP.
is. Yeah, he holds a unique banner.
And he is 4 wounds, 2 fate. And I was spiraling looking at this profile, so I started thinking about it. And like, you think about if you run up against, I don't know, an army of elves with 10 bows, and he's sitting behind your, 2 ranks of warriors, right? So there's a couple in the ways, elf shooting, like strength 3, everything like that. Like, at the end of the day, like, if you take 3 or 4 turns of shooting, I think math wise, you might lose 2 to 3 wounds, and then you still have fate points to spend if you want to. Like if you stack the in the ways, he can survive the shooting. Magic's a problem for sure, but he does have heroic resolve. Um, like
He's got 6 will points too.
He's got 6 will
yeah,
points too.
sorry, he's got 6 will points too. Yeah, so
Yeah.
But if you're spending the will points on magic, he's not defending them
exactly
from
right.
striking.
And so there's the Amder section, but then yeah, there's just even like think about all the courage tests we take in a game, and for him to be able to spend a will point to knock that off or things like that. You know what I mean? Like he just feels like he can do a lot. He can do a lot of things decently well, and then he just survives.
The big thing will just making sure he doesn't get shot. That's
Yeah,
probably his greatest weakness.
yeah,
It's just making sure he's covered, that there will be some in the ways. Because if you leave him wide open and he's getting shot by elf
yeah. But
bows,
if you
he's
got
gonna
if
die.
you should be planning
It will
for it. But
happen.
if you have 2 in the ways, like 10 elf bows, let's say I don't know 7 of them hit, and in the way. Let's say 4 of them get through the first in the way. Let's say 2 of them get through the next in the way. That's only 2 shots hitting him out of 10 elf bows. And then to wound him is a third of the time. So, like, if 2 shots hit him for 3 turns, he's maybe taking 2 wounds. If the math is going to math the way it's supposed to, but yeah, with 4 wounds and 2 fate, he's probably surviving when you get where you need to go. And then yeah, it just that's the Golden King specifically. I think is quite a good model. I'm hoping we see it because we haven't seen it in years. It feels like.
Well,
And it's fine. It's got a normal base now too.
yeah,
So
normal base, which I think it might be the biggest buff.
yeah, no 2 model traps on it.
That's being trapped by 2
The other rule we
models.
didn't talk about was the riches beyond renown, which is if a captain or a big hero fluffs their courage check, and you have more will than they can might or will that courage test up to pass, you can just make them run, right? Like if a Boromir rolls, snake eyes on their courage,
Yes.
and you're like, well, I'm going to spend enough will points that you can't
gone.
might and will that to a pass, and Boromir is gone. Which, I mean, I know it's unique, it's only within 12 inches, but it's just another nice little trick in your pocket for the list.
Yeah, it's another.
And again, you need to have those will points at that point in the game, hoping that if you didn't engage somebody, you still have the will points to stop it. His will points are gonna be like he's got 6 of them.
Yeah,
But
honestly,
he could burn through
you
them
hope
quickly.
that he bumps into
As well.
Boromir for 6 turns in a row, and just makes him do nothing for 6 turns. Like,
But could also
Yeah,
kill
if Boromir
Boromir.
fluffs
Maybe.
Yeah,
it
you could
as well.
definitely do some damage.
well, I think that. Yeah, he is.
Interesting.
He is. I think that covers our main topic today. Basically, I don't know if you guys want to chime in here or not, but my hope going forward for this summer and going into the fall, I hope this 3rd book does bring people back out of the woodwork. I just know a lot of people that don't play anymore just because of the last 6 months. So I'm curious to see if it does revitalize some of the people that have taken a break. The legacies, I wasn't excited for the document, and then when it came out, I was like, oh man, this should be in every tournament in my opinion. Like I was pretty excited about that. And then yeah, I just hope that we see. Personally, I just want to get it attend a tournament with 20 plus people. It would out in Lindsay especially, just because I know it's a bit of a travel for a lot of people, but I'm hoping this August one turns out well.
Yeah, when's your August
Yeah,
tournament?
August 16th. August 16th in Lindsay, 700 points. It's pretty regular tournament, except for if you show up with a painted and based army, you're getting an extra tournament point, which is basically just if 4 people go 3-1, if you have a painted army, you're gonna get an extra tournament point, so you're gonna end up higher in the standings because I don't know. Painting's been not that it's been bad lately. It's just the two tournaments I ran prior to this. The only complaints I got about the tournament was I think there was a couple people who ended up playing against like three of their four games were against unpainted armies, like just primed black or just gray plastic. And so it just kind of they had fun at the tournament. They were like, it was good. It was like, yeah, just kind of like the cinematic, the immersion of it all just wasn't there, right?
So you're just trying to promote doing that other aspect of the hobbying
Yeah, I
into
think,
the tournament, promoting more of the get up to painted list. And one TP's not going to make or break a
well,
tournament showing,
yeah,
probably.
exactly. It'll affect the standings. I'm not gonna, like, if
Yeah,
two people tie for second place at 3-1 and one of them's not painted, yeah, it's like you're not getting second place, right? But
I guess it would, yeah.
and there is, I think I'm gonna do every if you haven't been to three OSBGL events, then like you just get the tournament point for free. I'm not gonna penalize you for not having painted if it's like your first couple of events in the league. But for all the people that have been kind of around, 4, 5, 6 tournaments, it's like I think we can have painted armies. I think we can do this.
I mean, you guys know I definitely agree, and I commend you for making this change, and I hope that it spreads league wide because it is part of the hobby. Like I know people play this game to play a competitive game, and that's all fine and well, but this is a creative hobby first, even as said by GW. And I'm glad that they stepped back a little bit from that and they're trying to make the game actually more balanced across all their systems. But yeah, you should not be showing up to events 4, 5, 6 events in a row with you've only made progress on like 3 or 4 models. Like I don't buy the excuse that people don't have time. You make time for what you want to do, and if you want to participate in the hobby, you make time to paint, and that's all there is to it. It's also an excellent way, like, to spend your time to be painting instead of doom scrolling or watching some garbage show on Netflix or whatever. Actually doing something productive that you're gonna have for the rest of your life that's gonna be hanging around. Be like, oh, look at that! I painted that. So I'm glad you're doing that, and I hope it's a league that, like I already
Well, I
said,
mean,
that continues a trend that continues across the league.
Yeah, maybe not tournament points everyone, but like there's got to be some sort of a bonus for like doing the other half of the hobby,
Yeah, I
right?
agree. More than a raffle ticket. That's not enough. It should.
Yeah.
That's not. You have. There should be something that not necessarily penalizes, but a tournament point basically is penalizing everyone who doesn't paint their army. Um,
Yeah, like yeah, and we've talked about it before, obviously, but like 40K. This game isn't 40K, but if you look at a system like that, 10% of every game you play, the victory points are if you just show up with a painted army. Like every game you're playing in 40K is dependent on the hobby at the core of it, right? Like, and so not that we're 40K and we need to do what they do, but it just feels like for a new player showing up to play 3 out of your 4 games against, you know, a Balrog and 50 goblins that are all primed black and then a bunch of gray Urukai. Like it doesn't, it doesn't, it doesn't make, it's not going to make someone want to come back, right?
yeah, big agree.
And the goal at the end of the day, like tournaments are great. I love tournaments. I love competing, but the goal at the end of the day is get these people hooked on the game, get them coming back out again and again, and then you know, grow the numbers, grow the league.
Yeah, I agree. Personally, in my personal opinion, and I don't think this should be supported, but one TP is not enough. But I'm a bit of an elitist, I'll
Oh
admit.
God.
I think it's a very, very good compromise between getting your models painted to get a bonus and promoting the hobby in general.
Yeah, one TP isn't going to mess up rankings a ton. It's just going to be our first tiebreaker, basically, right?
I think that's totally fine. If you tie score with someone and you have a painted army, that's part of the hobby, and it's a good way to include that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a good incentive to try and
It
get a little bit
also
more painting
it
done.
also deters meta chasing. It's like if oh, Depth's doing really well, I'm gonna pick up a Balrog and get a bunch of goblins secondhand and run that. Well, like, okay, you better hope they're painted or you're losing out.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's hard to pick up a 70 model Goblin Horde and get it painted up for your tournament next
Yeah.
month. Yeah, I get that. No, we'll see how it goes. I'm hopeful for that tournament. I got a couple people. I just put it up to add last night, and I got a couple people paid already. Um, and so we're on our way. I just gotta keep pestering people and get them out.
Oh, 16 more to go
18
to
more. I got
20.
18
two.
more.
Well,
You
you
said
got
you
two
can't come.
here.
You're going to that wedding.
Wow.
Oh, never mind. Yes,
Yeah.
17.
Thanks.
Yeah, yeah,
I
right.
had
Right, I
just a
forgot about
glimmer of
that.
hope. I know people can't see me, but my eyes lit up for a second
Oh,
there.
I
Yeah,
forgot
me
about
too,
that.
because you're my
But yeah,
rug.
Andrew. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cat.
yeah, I got a wedding. My bad. I take that out.
But anyway, upcoming tournaments. I guess we could talk about. Obviously,
Andrew, you
you
got
have
one?
one too. I'm talking about upcoming tournaments in the OSBGL. So by the time this episode gets released, this
Oh,
will have been done and gone. But we are doing this the night before Torchlight's tournament. You shall not pass on this tournament. It's a 100-point OSBGL event. It looks like the numbers are going to be half decent. I think, Andrew, what were you saying? It was up to
I saw
17?
17 on launch shank, so I think they're going to be pushing 20.
Yeah, and that's without Zach on there yet. So we're going to be at least 18, right?
Oh, it's at 18
So it'd
players
be
right now,
nice.
it looks like.
Okay, so Zach should bump it up, and maybe one or two other lurkers. But that's going to be a good tournament. I know there's a lot of heavy hitters going to
Yeah.
that one, looking for the 100 points. But you're both going. I'm not. But you want to run us through? So Andrew's run Army of Edoras for the past 6 months, 6 months since the new edition came out. That's all that you've
That's all
played,
that I
right?
played. I am the top ranked Army Veterans player on long shanks in the world, just because I've played it so much.
humble brag.
I looked at actually some of the other people who were playing Army Veterans. There's one individual from UK who's 11-3. And this might be a good topic for another podcast, but they have a lot of weird tournaments where they're playing like 250 points or 330 points or one warband. So like a lot of their wins are not representative, like a 600 or 700 point game.
That must be like a local league. Like that's I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what they're actually doing for their league events, but
Yeah. Anyway, that's another topic. I just found it interesting. So I am, you're
yeah.
hearing it here first, the top ranked Army Veterans player, just by sheer fact that the Army is unavailable to play. Anyway, I'm not competitive. No, I'm
But
slightly
he's not a
competitive.
competitive.
Like I said earlier in the podcast, I'm not going to be bringing that. I'm going to be I'm going to meta chase here and play depths. I have a Balrog and like 60 goblins painted. They were my first models, so I stripped them all and painted them when I got back into the hobby. Maybe 7 or 8, no, more than that. And I haven't played them in new edition, and it seems good. And I'm I am exhausted after every turn I go to playing Army Veterans. It is a lot of pilot work, which I like. But for this 100-point event, I think I'll just try and play some easy games, and hopefully I do well. If not, whatever. I'm not even playing Army Veterans. Doesn't even count.
And at the same point, you're what? Top at the last update
Yeah,
of
I'm
the
top
standings,
7.
you're
I'm
top
probably a
7 in the
little bit
league.
higher. I've gotten first place and another second place on 80-point events.
Yeah, to be fair, we haven't had an update in a few months,
So
so there's a lot of tournaments that you've gone to that are
Yeah,
missing,
that I've
right?
done quite well at. I'm
so you could be a bit higher. This could be a big tournament to try and really
Yeah,
get yourself up there
exactly.
in the
So
standings.
I'd like to go for
Really
one last
make
little
a
bump.
jump.
See, I'm not going to finish top 3 for sure. And I think I'm
I don't
out of
know.
the. So I'm in the league. I can't finish top 3 in the league. And I think I'm out of the running for Craftsman Award now, officially. So yeah, I'm just. Yeah, I think I need to win it at the
Really?
last one for sure. And then I think Will's your next tournament coming up is the last one. I don't think that's enough to push me over to get first, but so I'm not gonna bring my Army Veterans display board. Maybe I do. I bring that and display that for.
Put the Balrog in
Yeah,
there.
yeah. So anyway, I'm playing Depths Moria Balrog. What was it? 3 captains and then just 4 prowlers and the rest shield and spear goblins. 53 models.
What would I guess? Let's say there's 20 people at this tournament. Like, what do you think is a goal to shoot for? I guess are you looking 3-1 as the goal, or are you looking? What are you looking at?
3-1's always my goal. Uh,
Yeah.
I've never gone 4-0 at a tournament, and anytime I've gone 3-0, I've gotten a bye. So 3-1 is what I'm looking for. Um, and then hopefully I do like get like another fifth or sixth at 20 people. That's like I'm happy with that. Fourth would be like really
Yeah.
nice, and obviously podiuming is amazing. But
Top quarter would be
yeah,
nice, eh? Like getting in that top five or
yeah,
something
that'd
like
be
that.
nice.
Yeah.
And that would definitely boost my score up because it's a
Zach,
100-point event.
yeah, right. That might even be worth more
Yeah.
than some of your 80. Actually, I don't know how that would. It's only 20 people. I'm not sure, but it'd be worth a lot of
Yeah,
points, right? And then Zach, you're going too as well.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta buy my ticket probably once we
Yeah, you only
wrap
have to
this
be
recording
there
up.
in 10 hours to play your first game.
It's been a very stressful week, okay? I've
But
had a lot
but
going on.
the past 6 months, Andrew's been playing Army of Edoras, and I think you've only played Battle of Fornos. Is that right?
I've played Battle for Us at every event except for
Oh yeah.
Ah,
one
yeah, the
where I
Good
played the
versus
double
Evil
Momac.
tournament. I forgot about that. I forgot about that. I ran that tournament. I should know that.
Yeah.
That
What
was a
a
blast.
what a
Thanks for
list.
playing my Mumak. It's never been played
Um,
before at an OSBGL event.
it, it was a lot of fun. It
All
was
right.
good. But yeah, no, I've been playing a lot of Battle of Fornost, and I will be playing that again tomorrow as well at 725 points. I think it's a pretty good
Yeah,
list.
it's
I
strong.
don't think anyone disagrees with that. It's got probably one of the best heroes in the game, and then it probably has one of
Yeah,
the
to
other
have a
best heroes
fight
in the game.
seven on the charge and a fight eight hero is kind of nice, eh?
Even forget about the fight 7 on the charge, you could just match your
Yeah.
fight value if you're better. Balrog, I'm gonna match you. Like for just for fun. Like if you can get Aenor and Glorfindel into a combat together, it's not good for whoever's on the other side of
Now,
it.
now, I
Like,
think we
unless
know that side of the list. I actually wanted to ask you about your other choice because you see people play like a full elf warbands or full Minas warbands with them, or you see a Círdan, or you see other things. What's so we know you have Aener with some knights. We know you have Glorfindel with some elves and a banner, but no elf bows. What's your third warband? What's your third warband?
no elf bows. Pr Probably my biggest mistake is no elf bows, but I fill out my numbers with Aranath and a bunch of Hobbit archers, and depending on the points value, Ranger of the North. At lower points values, I'll won't take Aranath, but at 725, I'll definitely have him in there. Maybe a Ranger of the North, but load him up with a bunch of Hobbit archers, and occasionally they do well. Very
Yeah,
hit or miss, I find. Inconsistent. Aeronaut's great. Uh, I used him for the first time at the last event. He really did a lot in helping keep the hobbits alive. The Rangers did
yeah,
not seem
and
to do that as much when it was just, moving
tomorrow,
some
are you
hobbits.
planning to leave the Rangers of the North at home, or are you? Because you were talking about either Ranger of the North or bringing actually a couple Minas Tirith foot warriors instead.
Yeah, just because of the inconsistency I've had with them, I thought maybe this time I'll leave them at home. And then in Aenor's Warband, I usually run 6 knights, and I'll top him up with just probably like 4 or 5. I think was my numbers. 3 Ministers with shield and 2 with
Yeah, yes,
spear. I
five
think was my
warriors, I think.
numbers. Just to get a little bit extra numbers. Probably good for some objective control somewhere maybe, and figure out
Yeah,
from there.
I
But
like the
change it up a little
change. I
bit.
like the change. So, um, it'll be interesting. How do you feel going into the tournament? I know we talked. There's probably around 20 people. I know there's some heavy hitters. There's the we can name a couple of them. I guess I think Steve Stokes is going to be there. Matty Lockwood's going to be there. Um, Andrew Scott's going to be there. I'm assuming he's bringing
Andrew's
his
going to be
Balrog.
there.
Um, yeah. What's the expectation for tomorrow? Is there an expectation for tomorrow, or is it just let's go roll some dice?
The goal for me is always go 500. I If I can come out at least 2-2, I'm thrilled. If I can go 3-1, I'll be even happier. If I go 1-3, I'll be a bit bummed, but it is what it is. Uh, hoping for a top 10 finish would be my goal. Like if I got 10th, I'd be pretty okay with that. but maybe like an
Yeah,
eighth
so
place.
that would
That's
be
the
like
goal. We'll
that'd be
see.
like a
Eight
top
to
two and
10.
two. Like there's gonna be a bunch of people at 2 and 2. Hopefully you got the point
Yeah, yeah,
differential or whatever to kind of put you in the top.
yeah. Hopefully the games have went well. The ones I've won and the games I lost, I've gotten enough VPs to keep it close. Like I haven't got blown out of the water. That's sort of what I'll be looking at.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I wanted to look over kind of the list of people going tomorrow. A couple other ones to mention. Kyle Vandegraff, we know, podiumed I think at the Oshawa event, but he's a pretty good player. Um, I'm trying to think of who other people I know. Man, there's a few people that I don't actually know here.
There's a few people in
But yeah,
that.
Andrew Barb's in.
He's not that great.
Jonathan Y. I think it's Jonathan Young. I think he came to one of my events, but he won the Barry tournament with the Men of the West list, and he's going to be there. So there's going to be
Presumably a Men of the West
I'd
list.
assume a Men of the West list. I know there's a Minas Tirith list already submitted. I know there's a wolf list with the snow troll and everything in there. It'll be a fun one. There's a lot of heavy hitters like we were talking about, so I'm curious to see how you guys do at that event.
Me too.
And being at Torchlight is pretty awesome.
Yeah, good venue.
Great venue.
And so that one's tomorrow. That
Good
one's July
space.
5th. Looking ahead to the 19th. Andrew, you're actually running an event, right?
I'm running my first OSBGL event.
Yeah, buddy. You want to just give us the highlights, kind of walk us through what you're planning on?
Yeah, you're running some events, and I was like, I could run an event. I know what I'm doing. I've been in this league long enough. But I wanted it to be a little bit different. Didn't want to just run another 600-point event in Hamilton because there's already Tista Minis, which does that, which does a great job. And then Torchlight's just the city over, which also does that, which does a great job. So I reached out to this board game cafe where we had some kind of pre-wedding thing for one of my buddies. And it was a great venue. And they got not a restaurant, but they have a kitchen and a bar in there. It's licensed. And they said, yeah, let's come in and play some games. And they're really good about it. They're not charging me extra. I tried to give them more money and they refused. I'll probably still throw them some more money. Not that it's very much anyway, but so it's going to be 9 rounds, half an hour for 50 points. 50 points. A la Plantier, 50-point bat reps. Shout out to the GBHL for that. And I wasn't sure about the turnout. I just wanted it to be kind of fun and different. Have a few beers, grab some food, play some 50-point games. But people don't realize how fun playing like 50-point games are. I know it's not the same as like grand strategy of a 600-700-point game, but it's a different kind of fun. And I mentioned it at the last tournament at Tista Minis, and there was like people list building like on the spot. They're like 50 points. Oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? And we're like throwing out ideas, and I was like, oh, this is like people are excited about this. So my goal is 12 people. We'll see if I can get more than that. It would be nice. I know Will, you're coming. Zach, hopefully you're coming. And I got a few IRL friends as well that may be coming. And yeah, 50-point games. Let's go.
So I love trying to get people to go and be like, dude, you get 9 games in a day, and they're like,
Yeah,
nobody can comprehend it. It's like 9 games,
yeah, 9 games.
50 points, dude. Come on, it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a fun tournament. It'll be a nice change of pace from the I don't know. Every tournament we go to is super similar. They all have their own little quirks, but this one's definitely a left field one, right? So it's gonna be a lot of fun.
yeah. And today, just when I was doing that, like I said, I was doing a little bit of research on the Army Veterans player from the UK, and I saw all these like weird events. And we don't have anything like that. We had Canadian Shire by Don Garrett and
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Brock, which was really great. They've been running that since 2 editions ago. Really, really good tournament. But we don't really have a lot of fun, different events like that. So hopefully this will be fun. People will come out.
Yeah, for sure.
Get something.
That's gonna be in the back of your minds tomorrow, isn't it? You're gonna be thinking, "Oh man, I have to win these games because now Will's gonna put it up online for all 3 of our listeners to hear about."
Another layer of stress, just what you need at a tournament when you're trying to do well.
You're playing in an army that doesn't take any thinking. At least Zach, on the other hand, it'll be an extra
I got
layer of
some thinking.
sweat on
Oh
his
yeah,
back.
because you're really put out when you're playing Glorfindel and Honor.
It's a hard life. You just don't understand.
Anyways, boys, I think we'll call it there.
Okay. Well, thanks for listening,
Good chat.
and
Yeah,
thanks
we'll
for
see if we do
chatting.
this again. We should. We will.
We will. We gotta trash talk each other's tournament performance.
Yeah, I'm just glad I'm not going to this one, so I can't embarrass myself.
I'm sure one of us will do that next week. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm almost guaranteed
Hey,
I'll have it,
two
and
and
I'm
two,
sure it's not gonna be
500,
you.
3-1. Andrew set a bar that was higher, so he has to hit that bar. Zach, you only have to hit 2 and
Pushing
2.
myself.
You'll
I'm
make
pushing myself.
Yeah, but
it. I believe, guys. Anyways,
all right. We'll catch y'all next time.
and that wraps up this council session. Thanks so much for tuning in to the very first episode of Council of the North. Again, we're just three hobbyists who we love this game, and it means a lot that you joined us as we try something new. Our hope that this podcast becomes a kind of a space for especially our Ontario community, but others around the world. Hopefully, we can connect and kind of share our stories from Canada and what's going on. Next time, we'll check out how Zach and Andrew fared at the You Shall Not Pass on this tournament. We'll see if they hit the marks that they set for themselves, see how they got along on their games and who all was there and kind of how that tournament shook out. We'll also hopefully be kicking off our Voices of the Free Peoples guest series. We've got some awesome guys, awesome folk that are we're bothering to come and record with us, and we'll see if they can start sharing their perspectives and either how they fared in their games or an event that's coming up or different things like that. But if you enjoyed the episode, that's great. Look forward to the next one. Until then, thanks again, and we'll see you at the next council.